Hi Ashley, so I've looked over your lesson plan and here's my feedback. So this is a pretty good lesson plan. I think that we could tighten it up in a few places, all right? So we're working on the no new contract in the revision stage of reading, which is the perfect place to work on it. And I think it's pretty reasonable that ninth graders are going to know what nouns and pronouns are. God, I hope so, right? Otherwise, our world is scary. So the goal is to produce clear and coherent writing, develop with development and organization. Perfect. Oops, scroll. Okay, so your students will be able to recognize and use the no new contract for rhetorical effect in their writing, in their own writing. So this is a good objective to have on the board. I think it's measurable, but I think the way in which you tackle it, I'm going to ask you to work on experiencing before you label a little bit more, and I'm going to push you beyond just the pronouns into talking to them about clauses. You have up here, hold on. Well, you didn't have clauses. Oh, there it is. Lesson title, clauses, structure, and revision. So you have clauses written up here, but you didn't have it addressed in your lesson plan, and I want that addressed in here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right. So these are ninth graders, all right? So you're going to have written on the board, how do we anticipate and direct our readers' thoughts? I don't know that your kids are going to have anything to say about that unless this is a lesson plan where you've already discussed something like this. Ninth grade, 14 years old, they probably have not been asked to think about what the reader's thinking about as they're writing. Sorry, that was weird to say. So we want to work on experiencing before we label. Some of those examples that you have further on down in your lesson plan, get those examples up on the board, right? So that we're talking about reader expectations. You know, what if you even started with, remember that sentence that we used in class, I never said she stole my money, and asked them to summarize that, right? Oh, how were we supposed to know that the reader or the writer meant this or the writer meant that? There's no way to know because the expectation isn't clear. Just things like that, okay? So ask them to experience before you label. All right. Next, you have direct instruction, 20 minutes here, and you have the guided notes, and so that's very helpful. I like on the guided notes how you have how you have blanks for them to write in, the no new contract, but in the where the blank lines you have for additional notes, I'm not 100% sure, if I was listening to this lecture, what exactly you would want me to be writing down from that lecture. So you might want to tighten up this direct instruction a little bit more, so that the no new contract relates both to what the reader knows and what the reader expects. Okay, good. So that's what it relates to. And now give me a concrete definition to cling to. So the no new contract means that the first clause in a sentence is information that is known to the reader. In other words, the reader already has an idea that we're going to be talking about it. And that's the key with it. It's not just pronouns. It's actually the whole first clause. And that's good too, because you can talk about pronouns and clauses, so that way you're not going to have just papers with a whole bunch of pronouns thrown in there, right? Because that's what kids are going to end up doing. Okay. All right. So these examples right here, these are really good. I actually would rearrange your lesson plan a little bit. Put some of those examples more up front, right? If I wrote this sentence, our trip to Florida for spring break was awful. The skies were beautiful in Miami and the beach lit up gorgeously under the sun. Like, what? That's confusing, right? You violated reader expectation. And then the kids have a sense of where you're going. It's kind of like giving them that big picture thing first, okay? This is a hilarious example. I think that was very nicely done, all right? So then you have them going through their paper and making sure every time they have a pronoun, that pronoun has been addressed. Sorry, you can probably see Jerry's email showing up in the corner. But you need to talk to them about clauses too. This is the difference between having a dependent clause, comma, independent clause, so that dependent clause contains the known information to the reader. So, for example, right here. Okay, our trip to Florida for spring break was awful. Okay? Then you could say, One of the reasons it was, because spring break happened during hurricane season, comma, the beach was littered with debris and cold and blah, 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 blah. So see how I put a dependent clause in the beginning because that was known information. I hope this is making sense. And my gosh, Ashley, just ask me in class or send me an email if I'm babbling. I could feel like I'm babbling right now. All right. Good examples here, and I love, love, love that you are taking time to do the independent writer conferences with each one of them, okay? So overall, okay, good lesson plan. I think I want you to rearrange it a little bit for a more impactful experience before you label. Then I want you to tighten up your direct instruction with a little bit more specific definition for their notes. And then I want you to push them to think about clauses as well as pronouns. Got it? Okay, nice job.